Okay, trivia time. Time is on the clock. Name 5 things that automatically come to mind when thinking about wealth management or financial advisors. Ready? Go.
That's easy. Bored, painful, rather listen to my in-laws, numbers.
Almost there.
Torture?
We have a winner. Let's tell him what he's won. You've won the PennyWise Financial Podcast. Yes, it's a financial show, but we talk to you like human beings talk. Sure, we do the traditional retirement planning and money management, but we also help plan for other decisions, like buying a car, selling a home, buying vacation properties, or selling a business. We're more than financial advisors to you. PennyWise Financial, brought to you by Monarch Wealth Management. This is PennyWise Financial, and this is Constantine Kitrinos and David Georgiev.
Welcome to this episode of PennyWise Financial. Constantine Kitrinos here with Monarch Wealth Management.
And this is Dave Georgiev, also Monarch Wealth Management. We have our interns who just started for Monarch, and Janna, we'll start with you if you don't mind just introducing yourself and maybe a quick 30-second blurb of who you are and kind of what you're up to.
Hi, yes. So my name is Janna. I go to the University of Rochester. I'm a finance major with a minor in statistics, and just working here over the summer, trying to get involved a little bit in wealth management. It's been something that has interested me for a while, especially the relationship building aspect of it. And just finance in general, something that I got into just last year. So I'm trying to get a little bit more acquainted with it. So that's what I'm doing this summer. And hopefully things settle down with coronavirus and school starts back up in the fall.
Beautiful. Awesome. Thank you, Janna. And Tommy, why don't you give us a little background on yourself?
I'm Tommy Baxter. I go to the University of Dayton, Ohio, study international business. And I'm home for the summer, and I was looking to, get my foot in the financial door, and that's where I'm looking to get with Monarch Wealth Management.
And, I know we have kind of some things on the agenda today, but out of curiosity, we started this firm in 2014, and every year we get a lot of inquiries about internships. We never post for any. I'm curious, Janna, how did you find us? Was it online?
Yes, I networked a little bit with Constantine. So I go on LinkedIn pretty often, and I message people. I ask them if they're willing to speak with me on the phone. Just because I got into finance so recently, it was something that I got interested in after joining a club last year. So I've been very interested in kind of getting to know the different aspects of it and getting to know where I belong in it. And so I've been messaging a lot of different people in different career paths in finance. And one of those people was Constantine.
Was it from LinkedIn, or because I know we connected there? But did you find us initially through the website or a certain search?
I was just looking generally. I kind of go randomly sometimes, but that specific week I had been kind of looking at places around Rochester to get an idea of smaller firms and things like that and get different perspectives. So I had been looking places around me, and I lived in Pittsburgh, so I'm very close to it. So it popped up as one of the first wealth management firms.
Location, yeah. So it's part of this. Well, it's good to know that we're visible online and not just only on
for sure.
Monarch Wealth. But why don't we get started? Janna, why don't you give us some background on some of the things that you and Tommy had worked on as far as the stocks and maybe sectors that you're looking at as far as investments right now? Yeah,
so something that I've been looking into a lot recently, and that I've been looking into for a while, but now that we're in a recession, silver and gold, just to be a little bit more recession proof. Especially I had silver. I had a lot of silver stocks before coronavirus started happening, just because they tend to do so well in the market, especially during a bull market. So I had a lot of silver stocks. And now I'm kind of on that same train, and it's really helpful that I did that in the beginning. But I'm trying to get a little more into gold now, just because that tends to do a little bit better, especially in a recession, and it's a little bit less volatile than silver. So it's probably a better bet for me. So usually on days where silver is going up a little bit, I'll sell it. And then on days where I see that gold stocks are kind of down, I buy them. And so I'm kind of just trading off a little bit to kind of diversify that part.
So how are you investing? Are you buying like an ETF? Are you buying physical, or?
I'm buying just actual stocks. It's Barrick Gold Corp. I mean, that's like the most common gold stock. I'm just buying a bunch of that. There's just a ton of different ones. There's some mining companies that I'm looking at. I think one of them is NAC. I don't know the actual name of it, but it's, I think, Northern something Dynasty or something like that. That was a cool one. So like mostly mining companies are really useful for me. And then for gold, it's a lot of just Barrick Gold Corp.
So we actually have held gold, and we talked about this on our show before, but we do, and a lot of our clients hold gold for a number of reasons, mainly insurance, a hedge against inflation. With all the money that's being pumped into the economy, you got to imagine inflation is going to be an issue at some point. I know the Fed just reaffirmed that they're not going to raise rates for some time, and I think it's justified, but eventually it's going to happen.
Yeah. And I also, to add to that, Constantine, I think that gold, over the last 12 to arguably 18 months, and we've positioned it in our portfolios from about 2 years out, as you can see a gentle, I guess, directional path towards that. But then with Corona, it's like you said, Janna, it's like, when fear strikes the market, it typically works opposite of the stock. So stock market tanks, everybody wants to feel secure. So they instinctively go back to gold. And that's, I think, why we've seen the recent surge over the last couple of months. But to Constantine's point, as money gets flooded into the economy between the stimulus plan, the PPP loans, the EIDL loans, all of these different stimulus packages going in, we're just being inflowed with cash flow as a country or as a currency. So I do think that long term, it's a good hold for the next several years, in my opinion, where once we start to see inflation, it will continue to do good things. So I think that's a solid pickup. Even silver too, Janna. I would say that just precious metals in general, they typically do well in this environment.
For sure. I'm trying to hold on to both of them. Just get a little bit more gold just because silver was one of those things I had gotten just after reading that, it's much better in a bull market. And I don't think that we're going to be in a bull market for a minute. I don't know really where we are anymore.
It's hard to gauge. It's definitely hard to gauge. Tommy, what about you?
I've been all over the place, just kind of playing around and seeing really all these trends because of how uncertain everyone is about everything and seeing everything just go up and down. But I've been really interested in these travel stocks and seeing them down, and then they had a huge surge at the beginning of June, and a lot of them started falling down again. And I guess I was kind of interested in getting your guys' point of view on this, but we've seen cruises have gone back down to low levels. Airlines are going up and down and up and down. What do you guys think about the future for these and the near future and the coming months?
I'm going to start off on this one. This is a little bit more. We kick the tires on this a little bit, Tommy. Great question, by the way. So me personally, there's the difference between day trading and short-term trading versus long-term financial planning. So from the short-term day trading kind of standpoint, if you hopped on and bought the cruise lines or the airlines anytime, honestly, after the Corona crash, you saw them go up, but then if you were smart, you maybe sold off some of your earnings or got out completely, which I have a lot of friends that did that because like you saw, they went back down once everybody pushed back their grand openings because, of Corona continuing to spread and such. So I think that it's going to be a very volatile market. I would hedge because some people are like, well, can't I just buy an ETF that basically owns all the cruise lines or all the airlines? And I would not recommend something like that because of the fact that I believe a year from now, 2 years from now, some of these companies in the airline world and in the cruise line world won't be around. So I think it's trying to find, if you're looking for a long-term play or a long-term buy and hold through the volatility, I think you have to find the information on the actual cruise line or the airline, something that's cash heavy, that's going to be able to take the repeated month after month of losing money, because that's exactly what all of these companies are doing right now.
Good point. This is a good place to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with the show.
Here's Constantine Kitrinos, Managing Partner and Financial Advisor at Monarch Wealth Management.
Are you retiring in the next 7 to 10 years? When do you plan on taking Social Security? How do you make your 401k last the rest of your life? Do you take a full pension or leave a benefit for your spouse? How do you protect your assets as you age? Similar to health matters, your financial well-being in retirement doesn't happen overnight. From retirement planning to estate planning, Monarch Wealth Management takes a holistic approach for your retirement plan.
Monarch Wealth Management. Our guidance, your future.
This is PennyWise Financial, and this is Constantine Kitrinos and David Georgiev.
We're back to the show. Just finished up talking about a little bit about precious metals, commodities, and also the travel sector, which has been a very, very volatile area in the market. Cons, where did you want to take things now?
Well, I want to touch on that too, with the whole travel sector. I think you divide it into a few different areas, and depending on what you're looking for and what your time horizon is, that's extremely important. But there's a ton of trades that, like to Dave's point, that people hit it. They hit it at the bottom. They bought in. They should have got out if they were smart. I think a bet on travel and tourism. If you look at cruise lines, if you look at airlines, if you look at hotels, it's a bet on the reopening that we're going to recover from the virus, and we will. Question is when. Cruise lines are shut down. So literally, you're investing in a company that cannot open. There's no revenue. So from a valuation standpoint, it's really hard to value these when you have no revenue coming in. Their balance sheets, there's a cash burn. There's all kinds of formulas that you can look at to value these companies. And I think it's very stock specific. So if you buy an ETF, you buy all the good ones and you also get the bad ones. And some of them are just not going to make it. And that's some of the things that we looked at with small and mid-cap companies as well. But then you look at things like the hotels and the airlines. I imagine we're all going to be comfortable flying on a plane sometime soon. I don't know when, but it's going to happen for business. It's going to happen for vacations and things like that. But I just saw a survey that said when they polled people about one of the first things they want to do when this whole coronavirus kind of unravels, and it wasn't go on vacation. It was, might think, oh, I want to go on a beach. It was get together with family. And because a lot of people right now are just so scared. And I can tell you with my in-laws, there's a disparity between people that feel totally comfortable going out and doing things, not wearing a mask, people that want to wear a mask and hide in their basement and never come out. And then there's somewhere in the middle. And that's kind of where I am. But as far as travel tourism as an investment long-term, I think it'll be fine. But I just don't know when. I think you got to be very cautious about the stock selection and versus buying an ETF.
Yeah, and to that point, I guess just to push forward, I would ask the two of you, where do you guys, and Jen, I'll start with you. Where do you see, and there's no right or wrong answer, nobody literally knows, but where do you guys think that we'll be a year from now, 5 years from now, as far as a country, as a world? Like, do you see Corona continuing and all of this mass hysteria of like staying separated, or do you guys see it as like an eventual get back to normal?
It's really hard to tell, but I would think that maybe I would give us about another year, to be honest, where we fully kind of recover and kind of are comfortable going out back to restaurants and things like that, and having, for example, I've heard things about sporting events. They may not have viewers for a really long time. So that's definitely changing. And I don't know if things are going to go back to normal ever, or normal might change the definition. I've talked to some people, for example, when I'm networking, I spoke to someone, I think at BAML, and they told me that we might see, for example, some companies might want to consider not renting out office spaces anymore. And so things might become completely at home, or at least partly, mostly at home jobs. So that's really interesting. It's just going to change the entire way that we work, for example. So if we see that, that'd be a really big change. And I think there's going to be a lot of things like that.
Yeah, agreed.
That's good points.
Yeah,
good
points. I'll touch base on that in just a second, but I want to hear what Tommy has to say as well. Tommy?
Yeah, I feel like eventually, obviously, we're going to go back to some sort of where we were before. But again, I think a lot of big companies are going to realize that it's a lot cheaper, and not only cheaper, but you work a lot more efficiently when you're working in your office and getting more calls out of the way instead of having to go fly places for meetings. It's a lot cheaper for their expenses for the company that'll be making money. So I think there'll be big changes when we come back, but I also think returning back to that normal, we're going to have to see some sort of vaccine or something come from this COVID, because as we're seeing, cases are starting to rise a little bit more. I feel like this might not be completely all the way out of here that people might think it is. And we're really going to be waiting on, Fauci was talking about maybe by the end of 2020 seeing a vaccine, but I don't know if it'll be that soon. I'm interested to see. I feel like that is really where it lies.
Agreed. And I think to Janna's point, commercial real estate, nobody can predict the future, but if I had to say where I think the next problematic sector, economically speaking, is the commercial real estate market. I think that you will see, maybe not 100% people can work from home, but if you have a large corporation and they're housed in some downtown, the big city across this country, And now with everybody staying home, I think about my brother-in-law and his wife who live in Brooklyn, and they told them that basically for the rest of 2020, they're working remotely. So now maybe they realize that they only need 40% of the space that they used to need in the city because so many people can work efficiently from home. So now what do you do with all that real estate in these big towns and cities across the country? I think that will drive down prices. I think that will really be could be a problematic thing for commercial real estate in general.
Yeah, I agree. I could see this going both ways too. You have one argument where you say you're more efficient, you're more productive in the office, there's more communication, you can collaborate. And I hear this from people that are working from home now, the frustration they're having. They're not as productive. They're not producing as much revenue for the company. So they're earning less money. Yeah, they're saving money on the real estate and all that. But if you have less production, less volume, less revenue, how does that impact? Is there a dollar for dollar offset? I don't know. The other part is, what if the cost of real estate to rent space for those folks that have to rent space, you're not going to be able to cut hair remotely. You're not going to be able to go to the hair salon or the pedicure, manicure place.
Over
you
the
can't
computer?
do it. No, that's a non-tappable sector, I guess, from Amazon. Like Amazon, you can't get Amazon from that. You have to have physical contact being with those. So those service industries, I think, are always going to need to rent some kind of space.
Sure.
All right. This is a good place. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back with the last segment of the show.
Here's Constantine Kitrinos, Managing Partner and Financial Advisor at Monarch Wealth Management.
Are you retiring in the next 7 to 10 years? When do you plan on taking Social Security? How do you make your 401k last the rest of your life? Do you take a full pension or leave a benefit for your spouse? How do you protect your assets as you age? Similar to health matters, your financial well-being in retirement doesn't happen overnight. From retirement planning to estate planning, Monarch Wealth Management takes a holistic approach for your retirement plan.
Monarch Wealth Management. Our guidance, your future.
This is PennyWise Financial, and this is Constantine Kitrinos and David Georgiev.
Welcome back to the last segment of PennyWise Financial. We have our interns as guests today. We have Janna and Tommy. Thank you both for joining us. For this last segment here, let's touch on technology. Love to hear your opinions, thoughts. Janna, let's start with you. I know we talked on the break about a stock or sector that you're looking at. So why don't you elaborate a little more?
Yeah, so one stock is definitely Zoom. I still haven't bought it, and to me, it's always been, people start talking about buying it and things like that, and so at that point, it might be a little too late, so I never bought it, but it's been doing really well, and I'm seeing that it's going up and up, and so one of the things that I'm interested in is, there's definitely competitors that are starting to get more involved in the tech industry now. For example, I think next year, it's possible that companies and schools won't be using Zoom. Maybe there's something that's better out there that's been developed over the summer. And so for that reason, I still haven't bought it. And I'm definitely interested in thinking and hearing what your thoughts are on that, just because it's also a really expensive stock. I think it's something above $200 at the moment. So it's a pretty big buy. So I have a little bit of doubt on that. And just generally, there's competitors. I know that Fastly, for example, is another stock that just surpassed Zoom as the best performing tech stock. And so all of those, I don't know if they're going to be still going after the pandemic, what their future looks like.
Quick question for both of you, Tommy and Janna. Have you guys been on a Zoom call, Zoom meeting?
I mean, many. At the end of the school year, when we had to come home, I couldn't get off Zoom. I wish I had less of Zoom. I was using it so much.
We use it.
Yeah,
in
my
the
whole
office.
school used Zoom.
This is actually a Zoom call right now, even though we're doing a podcast. We have to do this remotely. It's powered by Zoom. We use Ring Central, which in the background, it's an overlay, another layer of encryption, but we use Zoom but there's tons of competitors to your point, Janna. I mean, Microsoft Teams, you've got Google has their rollout. I know Apple has, what does Apple have? FaceTime. They have now extended where you could use a lot of people.
Yes.
Same thing with Duo. There's tons of competition, but it's not always the first one to the race that wins. And there's plenty of room. I think long-term, technology, anything that can make us more efficient. And we had a tech teacher in high school. I'll never forget this. He always said, if there's something that can be made or done easier, cheaper, and faster, it's going to be a huge value. And to your point, is the stock cheap? No, I don't think any of the tech stocks are cheap right now. but cheap relative to what? Their valuation, their revenue. Long term, can you see Zoom being a part of any industry? I think so. Maybe less used down the road, but also who's using it right now? I know they've extended free versions of this to schools and whatnot, so there's no revenue coming in. It could be some pent up buying on the technology that people are using, thinking there's going to be value there. I think there will be value, but it might be overbought. So using an approach of dollar cost averaging to kind of build your basis on that, especially if it's a non-retirement, is not a bad idea.
Yeah, that makes sense. You said, was it Microsoft Teams?
Yep.
I know that for one of my other businesses, we just started using Microsoft Teams.
It's okay. What do you think of it?
I like it because it is multi. I'm not a techie guy, but it has multi uses. So we have like a chat component where if we're on the go and somebody just needs to send a message to the group of the board of directors, we can just send a quick message and boom, everybody can see that communication. So it's constant. But then you also have different aspects where if you want to download documents, if you need to upload something that everybody can view, like it's multifaceted, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it has a lot of different benefits to it. We were also using Slack for a while, but Slack didn't have, and that's a stock that's exploded over the last 6 months, a year, but it didn't have as many of the features that Microsoft Teams does. So that's why we left Slack and we went to Microsoft Teams.
One thing so with Teams, I don't think is there any additional software you have to download. I was on a Teams call. It was with a company out of the country, but they set it up.
Oh, so you didn't have to download anything to your computer?
I don't believe I did.
Well,
isn't it integrated with the Microsoft platform? I'm just thinking about things that are done easier. Like if I have to have 10 apps to do one for a video, one for email, one for screen share, one for chat. I mean, I'd like one solution that could do all those, make my life easier.
And I would say that's exactly why we did end up going with Microsoft Teams, is because it eliminated before that. So think about archaically before, Slack was for our quick communication, like, hey, almost like a texting app, right? And then you had, Google Drive, that we would upload files, that we could share files. Now Microsoft Teams takes care of all of that, right? Nice. So I've just eliminated 2 or 3 different apps into one.
Yeah. So Janna, long term, I think it's a good play. I do. Is it too expensive here at this point? I don't know. It's hard to value a lot of these tech stocks right now.
Yeah. I mean, we're at NASDAQ's all-time high, right?
I think so. Yeah. Just the other day.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a little weird. I don't know what's going on at this point. Up or down, flip a coin.
What about you, Tommy?
Yeah, I was looking at something called DocuSign, where it's like it allows, since everything or a lot more is getting moved to like remote, it's like it allows for the signatures and everything to be passed like through online instead of having to be in person to sign, like say a contract or something.
Yeah, it's been, I'll speak to this because I could say I've used this personally for years and years since I've owned my rentals. So for the last decade, I've used DocuSign for my tenants to sign leases. They even have a notary component to it, but it's quick and easy. I mean, it's super easy, user-friendly to use. I send you a document, you click a couple buttons, you've signed it electronically, and then both parties get the copy. So it's really user-friendly. The pricing is good, I think. It's a subscription-based model. We use it with our own business for investment insurance, and it works well. It just works, and the value's there. And I think long term, more and more companies are going to do that. How easy, how convenient is it to be able to sign documents for maybe your loan closing, pulling up an app in your phone, signing the documents and being done, where you don't have to get everybody from different parts of maybe the state or the country to fly out to an attorney or even go out to a local office and sign documents. It makes sense.
Yeah. And for somebody who basically lives under a rock and has a carrier pigeon for like communication, which is me, like anti-technology man, it is very simple to use DocuSign. We use it through LPL as our broker dealer. And the simplicity, like Constantine said, to just boom, boom, you get an email, you click a couple buttons, you've signed your documents. And then once every party has signed, you get one more email that is a copy of the entire document with all the signatures on there. So now you have it for your records too. So I think it's a win. I think it's a long-term buy. And I would say the same for Zoom. I don't know if I commented on Zoom, but I think it's a great technology. And even if user interface goes down once Corona, hopefully, God willing, settles down, I still think there's a booming market for both of these.
I do too. And then as far as the sector itself, is it cheap? No. Is it working? Yes. If this virus continues, which I think it will, it'll have some kind of impact long term for all of us. Some of those businesses' activities will be gravitating online, and that will continue. Any final thoughts, Janna? Did we touch on? You had the Zoom stock, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think you're definitely have good points, and I'll probably be investing in it really soon, to be honest, because I keep kind of putting it off, thinking that things are going to change. But I think when the school year starts again, a lot of schools are going to be using it, so it's probably a good idea to buy now and kind of expect that.
Now, with both of you guys, I'd ask you this: how are you investing? So, a lot of how are you finding the stocks that we're talking about?
Just generally a lot of like research on what people think are good stocks to buy right now. I'm just looking at trends. I've actually been getting a little more into really analyzing graphs, which is something I didn't do before, and it's definitely super hard, and I don't do like the intense math behind anything. But I've noticed that some stocks, for example, some of the silver ones I was looking at, you can notice sometimes of like recessions where you see it go up a little bit and do certain things, and we're at the exact same spot now. So it's really cool to predict if it's going to do the same thing, and see that we're kind of in the same spot in the graph, and that it might actually go way up now if it does what it did like a few years back. So I've been doing that a little bit, just looking at graphs and people's buy ratings and things like that.
How about you, Tommy?
I do the same thing. I've been trying to read the graphs and make my decisions based on how it's looking there, with also kind of putting the focus on what the actual company / product that I would be investing in is. Is it actually worth it? Not just paying attention to hey, it's looks like it's in an upward trend, but is it actually going to be here for an upward trend, or is it just in a short-term upward trend?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm glad to hear that both of you are actually doing research, because I see so many investors. We even have some of our younger clients that call us and try to reach us almost every day because they saw a Twitter feed that said, go buy this stock, and they know nothing about the company. It's on the verge of bankruptcy, and they have no idea what they're buying. I think you have to know what you own. And I like the point that you said, it's investing in things that you know and maybe even use.
Yeah. And I think that the media is going to spin what the media wants to spin, and you have to be careful with that. So when you see something pop on your Twitter feed, doing a little bit of research to make sure that it's not just some hyped up thing. The problem with a lot of these companies right now, and talking about the travel industry is a great example, but there's just a lot of speculation in the market because a lot of these things are still closed. So we're buying a stock based on what we think it will do once it reopens, and we don't know when it's going to reopen. So there's a whole ton of speculation, which can, there's a difference between trading and investing, and that's trading. When you're trading, there's a lot of risk, and there can be, if you catch it at the right time, a lot of reward. But at the same time, whatever money I would always say that you want to have invested in trading, you got to be willing to understand that you could lose a lot of money very quickly if you're on the wrong side of that trade. So that's my warning for everybody listening.
Heed to his warning.
Yes.
Well, guys, thank you for the commentary, for the research and getting ready for the show.
Oh, wait. I heard.
Oh, that's right.
I heard there's a birthday boy on the podcast.
Tommy, we're not going to sing. We're not going to bring pain to tears. Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, Tommy.
It's your birthday. Yes, it is. It's your birthday. Yes, it is. It's your birthday. So happy birthday to you. Yes, you. It's your birthday. Yes, it is. It's your birthday. Yes, it is. It's your birthday. So happy birthday to you. Yes, to you.
Can we ask how old you are?
20. Yes, just turned 20.
Big
Thank
20.
you.
Wow. Very nice. Any plans with a mask on?
No, just a family coming over.
That's awesome.
Lay low.
All right. Well, good. Stay healthy. Congratulations. Happy birthday. Thank you both for your time today.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for having us.
You've been listening to PennyWise Financial, brought to you by Monarch Wealth Management. Constantine and David really care about their clients. They want to make sure you're happy, so you'll continue to hire them. There's no commitments, and clients are free to leave whenever they want. Think about being able to pick up the phone and call someone for guidance and advice on almost anything, from buying a car, selling a home, buying vacation properties, or even selling a business. Reach out on the website at monarchwealthmanagement.com. There are 2 offices in Rochester and 2 offices in Buffalo. Reach out to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, or call us toll-free at 800-480-1580. That's 800-480-1580. Until next time, this is PennyWise Financial, signing off.
The opinions voiced in this program are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, and financial advisor or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities are offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA and SIPC.